Hello, and welcome to the Frivolous and Frugal Knitting Podcast. We're two sisters who share our fondness for knitting, the things that we create, and the knitting community that we love. And we do it all with a little flair of both the frivolous and the frugal. I'll let you guess which one I am.
Something obvious and don't need to be stated, Dawn. Go ahead.
Well, I'm Dawn, thank you. And I am frivolous, and I am fourth of 8 in the birth order.
And that leaves me, the frugal one. My name is Penny, and I am the oldest of the 8 siblings. We have a heartfelt welcome to all of our returning viewers. We are just tickled that you join us each week so that you can hear our musings on our knitting adventures. And for those of you who are first-time viewers, we want to thank you for making time to give our podcast some of your very precious viewing time. So we hope, like our returning viewers, you take away a nugget or two from our adventures. So without further ado, grab your knitting, your favorite note-taking device, and your sense of humor, because we are about to embark on episode 28 of the Frivolous and Frugal podcast. Take it away, Dawn.
Our knitting adventures. I guess maybe I've had a bumpy ride this week. But anyway, what is around your neck? It looks spectacular.
Oh, you know, I think it's popping because of the red blouse.
I think it is.
It's the Sheboygan Shawl by Joanne Kiley. I have to tell you, probably one of my favorite shawls. It is just not only beautiful, but it's very utilitarian. So I wear it quite a bit. I knit it in Cascade Heritage sock in the black and white colorways on a size 6, and it earns both a $1 sign for the fiber and for the pattern. So I encourage all of you to give it a try. Put it in your queue. And what's around your neck?
Well, nothing right now. You know what? Did I give my Sheboygan away?
Oh,
I don't know where it's at.
Know. Did you do yours in black and white?
Purple and white.
Purple and white.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, Dawn. But if you did, you need to reknit it.
Yeah, I do. I do. Oh, so this is a blast from the past. This is the 3-color cashmere shawl by Joji Locatelli. Are you ready for this? I knit it in 2012. I know.
2012?
It may have been, I was going to look, it may have been the first actual shawl. Definitely the first time I bought a pattern like from Ravelry. And my first time I ever bought indie dyed yarn. So this was lolodidit in the everyday sock. I think if I remember right, I saw an advertisement maybe on Instagram. Not an advertisement. She posted these 3 colors together and said it would look nice in the 3-color cashmere. So I was like, okay.
Well,
so
I'm glad you got them. Beautiful.
By far one of the most sweaters or shawls I wear. It is, like you said, utilitarian. I wear it all the time. So I finally washed it and blocked it because it hadn't been washed and blocked probably since I knit it.
The beauty again of natural fibers.
Yeah.
Boy.
I don't know. I just like the lace. I like the stripes. I like the yarn. So, yeah, this is exactly how I wear them. I just kind of bunch them around my neck. Yeah, love it.
Very pretty. Very
Professor Plum was this darker purple. No, Professor Plum might have been this one, the pink. And then this was Blackberry Jam. And then the speckled was the Countess Dowager. So
I'm impressed with your memory on that.
Well, I just took it right off Ravelry. Thank you. US 6, you know, again, 2012. I'm going to assume it was a reasonable priced pattern.
I think Miss Joji's patterns tend to be very reasonable.
Yeah.
I don't believe she overcharges in any way. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to guess since it was indie dyed yarn, I'd give it a 3. She is still dyeing. I saw that she still has these colorways.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I might be tempted to, I saw that I'd like to try maybe in DK and do something with them. But anyway, in the spirit of the Joji knit along that started this week, there is my what's around my neck flashback. support Ho Heat, throw one more hashtag in there, what the heck. So, yeah.
As only you can do. As only you can do. You have a gift in that area.
Well, I don't know.
Very quickly, Opal is wearing my Alliteration scarf number 2. As you can see, I wanted our viewers to see what happens when I take that 90-some inches, fold it in half, and loop the leftovers through the loop. So it makes a very nice, thick scarf. Not much left to tuck in, but yet enough.
Yeah.
So she is sporting that today because we woke up to a nice, brisk 50-degree morning. And in the background, you will see that Monique is sporting Bumble by Tin Can Knits. I knit that in Plymouth Encore. Again, a $1 sign for both the fiber and the pattern. I believe I knit it on size 8s. And the Alliteration scarf, obviously $1 sign for fiber and pattern. I've knit those on a size 3 US. So that's what's sporting our backgrounds today.
Nice. And just for new viewers, the frugalometer is something that is personal, but we do it on a scale of $1 to $5 signs. So usually at the bottom of our show notes, you'll see our little legend, how we determine. And there might not be a whole lot of rhyme and reason to mine. I may just wing it. So
for our viewers, my goal is always a $1 or $2 sign. For Dawn, she has a hard time leaving the $4 or $5 sign range.
Well, I have a hard time calling it a 4 or 5. Because I wonder if there's still something out there I haven't discovered yet.
Well, that's true. And why would you in any way reduce your options? You don't want to do that. So
no, right.
So what's off your needles this week?
I just have one thing. I finished my hat.
Oh, yes, you did.
Over the eyes. Formerly known as the Twistmas. I was not able to follow that pattern because of the busyness of the yarn. So I did do the brim from that pattern. That pattern is a free pattern from Espace Tricot. Those ladies have a lovely podcast as well. And then I just went ahead to a stockinette and I followed the measurements of that hat and I did the decrease from that hat. So I will cast on yet another Twistmas because that's on my UFO list. So I've got to do one. So, but again, you'll see the mohair in there, the little halo. And the 2 yarns were, the real colorful one was Pinata Pop. I think I called it wrong last week, but Pinata Pop by Madeline Tosh Sock. And there's a white in there with some bright pink speckles. That is a hedgehog fiber. And Cheeky is the colorway. So on the frugalometer, boy, free pattern, can't beat that. So I'm just going to do a mathematical average then for the yarn. It's got to go a 3, if not a 4.
Okay.
I'm thinking with that hedgehog, I bet 2, I should weigh it. Second hat I've used that with, and I bet I still have almost half left.
Ooh.
And same with the Pinata Pop. So, and then I just had all this mohair and stash. It's Ella Ray.
Okay.
And I think I was going to do a Helen Stewart shawl that called for oodles of mohair and ended up not doing it. So I just happened to have quite a bit of it in stash. So yeah, and that is not blocked. And I'm going to wait till I see you again, Penny, and try that colorful pom-pom.
Oh,
on there.
Okay. It's small, so it's not a large pom-pom, but yes, definitely. Let's give it a try.
And could somebody please make, I need a styrofoam head that's really head size, because this is the adult large male. Yeah, my head fits fine on that hat. So, and I don't want to admit I have a big head.
Nor should you. And could I just add to Dawn, when we go to the frugalometer, like you were trying to average what those fibers are, in my mind, if I can get more than one project out of a skein, it drops the frugalometer.
Oh.
So if I purchased it and I felt like it was a 4, but I've got 4 projects, honey, that's a good bargain. And I bring it down to $1 or $2 signs. And that way it gives me, if you will, permission, not that we need it, but it gives me permission to buy some very nice yarn knowing that I'm going to use it for more than one project.
That's a good example. So I will let the record so reflect that I will drop my 4 to a 2.
Unfortunately, I cannot let your checkbook reflect that, but the record sure will.
So what are you working on there? I see colors flying by.
Oh, you know what I'm doing? I am making a concerted effort this weekend to get all of my ends tied in. I think I have a total of 30 some projects that I have blocked. This is only half of them. And so I'm tucking in ends because I'm going to take photos this weekend. Nice. That is my priority. So that's what I'm working on right now. But I have to tell you, I do have one item off my needles as well. Last week, you will remember, I shared with you the regular guy hat pattern. See Mo, he is totally covered by this thing. And I don't know that it would fit the head of most of my sons or family members, but very nice hat. I guess it could be a slouch hat if you had a larger head, but it has not yet been blocked. So it is getting blocked today, as are my other knee-high pile of finished objects. I knitted in the Cascade 220 Superwash Jet colorway. I knitted all on the same size needle. First time I've ever done the brim and the body in the same size needle. So I'm going to see what it wears like. I don't know if I'll like the fabric on the top or not, but it is finished. And for the record, it's number 27 in 45 hats, 45 designers. So we're moving right along to complete.
Yes, you are. I'm impressed.
All right. So what is on your needles?
Okay. Well, I had to cast on September 1st while watching Hohi and her mama.
Oh, of course you did.
She did a YouTube live, and it was just, I always love it when she has her mama on there. But this is the 3-color cowl.
Oh, so you're wearing the 3-color cashmere shawl, and there is the cowl. Wonderful.
Definitely going to be some of the same patterns in there, but obviously just smaller. And this is my first time with Brooklyn Tweed Peary is the base. It's a fingering weight. Okay. And my 3rd color is a gray, so it's definitely going to be kind of monochromatic. Yeah, and
very nice neutral. Should go with a lot.
Yeah, and you would think this would be pretty mindless knitting, unless you forget to do one of those eyelet rows. And I'm doing the thing that we say we shouldn't do. I have dark needles. So I'm fine on white, but the other night when I was doing Zoom with the Zombie Knitpocalypse Network, I was sitting under really bright lights. So I was fine working on the black. So I just have to pay attention to that. And here was the reason why I had these needles. The pattern calls for a US 2.5 or a 3.00 millimeter. Okay. Well, a US, I don't have a 2.5. I have a 3.25, which is a US 3.
All right.
So I went up to a 3. So I'm just going to have to watch the yardage a little bit, but I think I'll be okay. And it was the only 24-inch 3 that I had. Okay. So I tried a 16-inch, and it was pretty bunched up.
It was.
So if the black gets too unbearable, those were Addy turbos, so I can switch to those. But yeah, I'm liking it. And for the most part, if I remember to put an eyelet row in every so often, I can do it pretty brainlessly. And then the colorways are on my project page. The Hohi Knit Along started September 1st, ends November 30th. So I'm hoping I can have this done because I signed up for this and a shawl.
So is that the project you have to knit for that knit along?
You can pick any pattern. You just had to pre-register.
Oh,
I think Penny, I think she said 9,000 projects were registered.
Oh,
so each project gets a number. My number's like in the 6,500s. And you get put into categories based on, is it a sweater, is one category, shawls are another category. For the cowl, I'm in a category called small objects, which would be these, like fingerless mitts, socks.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just fun that there's that many people. So
Well, absolutely. And I guess that's something for us all to maybe perhaps put on our knitting calendar for next year. Since if we didn't have the opportunity to pre-register this year, we can certainly look to doing that next year.
well, and I think you could even just, if you have a Hohi project started, I would just keep working on it. If you're a hashtag person, there's a hashtag that you can post to Instagram. Yeah, I just think it's fun when you have that many people, kind of a concerted effort.
Absolutely.
So in the zombie
Knitpocalypse
network, where they're just doing a Hohi knit along. You could bring whips, whatever.
Nice.
Yeah, so the month of September, that's their focus. And then they're doing a interview with Hohi in September as well. So.
Ooh, that'll be a treat. I
Oh,
bet
yeah.
you'll be in the front row virtually.
That's right. I'll be camping out the night before.
I bet you will. Make sure you set your phone to the right time.
No doubt. So anything else on your needles?
Yes, actually. Let me show you. I had to go to the DMV yesterday, and I knew that there would be a wait there, and I did not have a project that I could knit while I was waiting. So I cast on a hat, and while I was in line, you know, knitting in public is such a good conversation starter. This woman said, "Oh, I see that you're knitting." I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." And she said, "What are you working on?" And I said, "Well, you know, I thought about bringing all 12 skeins for this Afghan that I'm working on, so I could get it finished while I was waiting in line. But then I realized I didn't have a bag large enough for all 12 skeins. Ziplocs do not come that large. And so I just cast on this cute little hat called the doggy hat.
That is cute.
Originally, isn't it cute? It was originally published and put out by Encore, Plymouth Encore, but actually it has a designer, believe it or not. Well, yeah, I guess so. Most patterns have designers, and I want to make sure I get her name correct. There are two. It's Joanne Turcott and Jody Snyder. So I knit the bottom brim, which was a new way for me to knit the brim. I knit that with US size 6. The body is a US size 8. I only have 3 more rows to finish the top of the hat, and then it has this little I-cord dangly with a bone on it, and then it will be complete. But I didn't want to try to do that while we were podcasting. So it should be a finished object for next week, and it is number 28 in the 45 hats, 45 designers.
Yeah, those little paw prints are cute.
Aren't they? Yeah. So if I were, and by the way, I should say, our little DMV, no wait at all. We have the most courteous people, and I only think I was able to knit for about 15 or 20 minutes. So I was very thankful for that.
Yeah, because I was going to make a smart remark that I'm glad you were able to make it today.
And I wasn't still in line waiting. You are so funny. Anything else on your needles?
No, I'm choking a little bit, so if I happen to pass out, 911. Okay.
Do you still have that defibrillator?
I do.
Okay, I'll just text Steve. Okay.
You wouldn't even know what it was, right? Okay. There's an update on my Moonwake. This is by Andrea Mowery. It is a cowl. It's knit in the tube, but it'll be connected at the end with a Mobius twist. Now, let's see if I can get this right. This is, from here to here is repeat 1. So I'm a little more than halfway through repeat 2, and there's 3 repeats. I am enjoying the color work. I can't believe it. My tension, nice. Yeah, my tension's smoothing out a little bit. It's still a tad off, and I'm hoping blocking will help with that a little bit. Yeah, this is Julie Asselin's DK weight yarn. Again, I can't pronounce the names because they're all in French, but there are 4 different colors, and my friend Kathy and I are doing it together, and I haven't chatted with her the last couple of days. I don't know where she's at. She may be a little bit farther. So yeah, I like it.
Very pretty, very pretty. Yeah,
the colors are showing up true. So,
are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo! Woo,
So
very
that's what
nice.
is actively on my needles.
All
Well,
right, I have one other project on my needles. Well, actually, it's back in its project bag.
uh-oh.
As you all know, I'm doing that 6 sweet sweaters, and my whole my priority, my focus this week was to finish this little sweater, get it done, and get the trim on it and the buttons, and be ready to move on to sweater number 4. Well, as I was knitting, of course, I keep my yarn in my Ziploc bag, and Mike and I were watching television, and I was getting ready to start the next row of my sweater, and I went to grab my yarn, and I did this. I thought, well, that's really weird. I grabbed it again. It went through my fingers. I thought, oh no, nuts. That ball of yarn broke. So I picked it up.
Oh no.
I ran out of yarn. I ran out of yarn. I went, oh my goodness. So here's where I ran out of yarn, my dear knitting community. Only you can commiserate with me at the depth that I need your commiseration today, because I am 2 repeats short to finishing the sleeve and the trim. So, as only a sister can do, I text Dawn, because this girl buys good yarn. And this is an exclusively dyed colorway. So I text her, I said, hey, by the way, do you have any of the Republic of Wool and the Supernova colorway? Well, no, I don't think so. Would you please check? Why? I just ran out. So Dawn feverishly goes through her vault where she keeps her yarn stash.
Vault.
She can't find any. She texts back, no. She goes, have you checked Ravelry for stash for sale? Well, no, I haven't. I got on Ravelry. All of my fellow knitters don't want to sell theirs. Oh, there's some in there, but nobody wants to sell it. I am 2 repeats and trim short of finishing the sweater. So I texted Dawn back and I said, well, I'm just going to frog this sweater.
Oh no.
And so I put it back in its bag where it rightfully belonged at that moment, because that was not the time to make a decision. And I'm going to cut this off right here. I decided this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to frog this sweater, and I'm going to shape this, or this sleeve, and I'm going to shape the sleeve a little bit more. I'm going to bring in some decreases, and that will give me more yarn to work with. I'm going to keep it the same length, but I'm going to use the extra yarn to come over, shape this sleeve, attach that yarn and finish it, at least to a point where they're both even. Then I'm going to put a contrasting cuff around the sleeve and use that same contrasting yarn to go around and put the trim on the sweater. And then I'm giving it away. But I say that not out of frustration, but out of the fact that that's what I learned this week. What I'm discovering is, after sleeping on it in the middle of the night, that's when I came up with this idea. My knitting this week has been all about improvising, adapting, and overcoming. It is but yarn. That's all it is. It is a medium from which to create. And so in my frustration, I forgot about that. I forgot that as an artisan, we always need to be creating. And just because my final project may not look like the picture on the pattern doesn't mean that it cannot still be a garment, and it can be a unique garment. And so that's what I'm going to do this week. It is my hope that maybe not next podcast, but the following podcast, I will be able to show you a finished eyelet striped jacket.
Wow, that's a painful lesson, but a good one.
I would agree. It was good. It was good. It
Yeah.
forced me to be creative, and it forced me to look beyond the obvious. Think differently about how I can correct my dilemma. Now, will I continue to look at how much yarn I have in my bag? Absolutely not. Because I'll figure it out, right? So anyway, what about you?
I'd be sending individual Ravelry messages to everybody who has it in their stash and ask if they'd be willing to part with 10 grams.
You know, I guess I probably could, Dawn, but there's something Mom raised us to see failure as opportunity.
Yeah.
Even growing up, I mean, you tell the story frequently about how she was teaching you how to crochet, and you would leave it on the table, and in the morning it would be totally frogged in a ball because you had made a mistake.
Right.
And so you learned that having to go back and redo is not necessarily a bad thing. It's all part of that messy learning process.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do, at least for right now.
It's interesting. We both had similar weeks. I was going to say, I think my knitting was negative in yardage this week. So I was working on Festival of Stitches,
which
pattern that I
love.
Absolutely love. Okay. So I'll see if I can just show you where the problem came. So last week, I think I was just about to, maybe at the same spot, but I doubled this in width. So I did 36 rows of this cable, and I'm doing my last row, getting ready to put on the red eyelet row, and my count is off. And so I count again, and I mean, my count isn't off by 2, my count's off by 32. So there's only like 107 stitches. How can I be off? So I'm supposed to have 107 stitches, and I have like 60.
Oh,
68, something like that. It's like, okay, so you count again, and then after about the 14th time, you realize your count's right. Okay, so here's what I goofed up. This very first row of white was a setup row, clearly stated on the pattern. It was to increase 32 stitches. Because otherwise this ribbing was pulling it in. So I sat there and had this whole mental conversation with myself that, oh, nobody would know that I didn't do the 32 row increase or 32 stitch increase. I'll just be really aggressive in the block. Well, even when I started pulling it, it distorted the cables. And that's what I just thought, you know what? So be it. So then I had this conversation with myself, which maybe I need therapy for all these self-conversations. So I'd be interested to see what viewers do. When you have that much, I had 32 rows or 36 rows to pull out. I literally just pulled my needle out and started winding up that yarn until I got to the very last row. And then on that very last row, as I pulled the white yarn, I just picked it up. Picked up the last row of the red. Now, I did not use a lifeline on here, so a lifeline would have been a great way. But with 36 rows, I think I have friends who would sit there and tink that back stitch by stitch. And yet, because this was not twisted, there weren't yarn overs, cable rows have like mini rest rows in between. I just decided to frog it. And
well, let me ask you this. When you were a newer knitter, had that have happened, what do you think you would have done?
I would have cried, got into the fetal position. A couple of things. I may have taken it back to the yarn shop and asked them to help me if I didn't put in a lifeline, because you're okay till that very last row. But now that I'm a more confident knitter, those stitches don't go anywhere. You know what I mean? If you pull gently or tug gently, literally as that yarn's pulling out of the previous stitch, I just slide my needle in.
Okay.
But I'm also comfortable now knowing if they're twisted and how to just realign them or, put them back on the needles in the right sequence. So maybe it's that combination of more confidence. But what I didn't want to do, and how many times have we said this, if I don't like it now, and then I have to do the same on the other side. Because this, mirror images on the other side. Okay. So, yeah. So, you know what? It looks so much better like this too. Isn't that amazing? read the pattern. Yeah. So
Either
anyway,
that or add a segment to our little agenda. So what are you frogging this week?
lately that we should have that.
Uh,
Oh my goodness.
so that's our lessons
Yeah.
learned almost, right?
And I wanted to be further, but I'm not, and it's not a race, and I enjoy it, and I'm getting better at cables, obviously.
Right. Getting better
And
maybe at reading your patterns as well, reading your knitting.
yeah, and I think if I'd have weighed my yarn after that segment, I would have realized I'm off too, because so far I've been running pretty close to her pattern. So I would have had a lot more yarn left than I was supposed to. So
Well,
anyway, I'm going to keep working on that. Maybe I'll get to the black. There's a black section next called the raindrops. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at that pattern, but yeah. So I too learned, and it's okay.
it is.
Like improvise, adapt, and overcome. Although that sounds very militant.
It does. But you know, that's one thing we learned in the military. When you're in battle, you don't always have time to sit down, pout, cry, have a pity party. You have to make, or yeah, it's the same thing in medicine. You may be in a situation where you don't have what you need, and you have to be comfortable enough knowing
Right.
the basics to improvise and adapt and overcome the challenge. May
Absolutely.
not end up the way you were hoping, but it is what it is, right?
It is. So good lesson, and still love the project.
Good.
So I will keep, and cabling is not something I can do while Zoom knitting.
Oh, another lesson learned.
Yeah, because I can go quite a few rows and realize I forgot to do a cable. and that is very obvious. So, yep, so that's what I'm learning.
Well, thanks.
Anything new with Frivolous and Frugal?
Well, yeah, we do have next week, September the 12th, Central Time from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., our monthly virtual knit along, and we would really like to see you join us virtually, literally, and figuratively. This month, we have on our agenda two things. We are going to start out, as we always do, asking those who are comfortable, because we have a phrase, choose your level of participation. If you're not comfortable talking, we don't force you to, I don't think. Anyway, we want you to share what your current project is, and then please be prepared to perhaps share the fiber and the next project in your queue, because it is 2 hours of nothing but knitting. And that's all we talk about. So we encourage you to join us. The Zoom link will be posted in a thread on Ravelry about an hour before we begin. So that's what's happening. But in addition to that, Miss Brittany or B-Wing in Ravelry has suggested that maybe we do a cast on knit along during the virtual night for those who are looking for a simple project. So she has suggested that we knit the Mia hat. And if you look it up on Ravelry, I think you are going to see that it's a beautiful hat with some cables, nice texture. It's a design by Erin Donahue, uses worsted weight yarn. So if it's something you want to do, hop in. We'll create a thread on Ravelry for the hat knit along, and look forward to seeing your projects on that. So I think that's it, Dawn. We don't have any giveaways during this episode. I think if we do that hat knit along, we can run it till the end of September, choose someone off of there and give them a gift. What do you think?
I like that idea.
Okay. And I think that's about it with Frivolous and Frugal. Can't think of anything else.
Yeah, nothing else for me either.
Okay.
And our special guest next week is going to be maybe somebody related to us.
Maybe.
Who's a knitter. So that'll be fun to
know her.
catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
I think that's it, sis.
I do too.
Except for, what would Nicky say?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you remembered that.
Yes. So you all know our dear sister, Nicky. We have a segment now. What would Nicky say? She loves her golf as much as we love our knitting. And so this is what she would share with us this week. No matter what you love, whether it's golf or knitting, enjoy the journey, the ups and the downs that go with that journey, and then smile at the end. So sis, we're going to smile at the end of our week of frogging and learning. and also at the end of our episode number 28.
Wow.
So thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. You know how to reach us. All that information is at the bottom of our show notes. If you like the episode, like us, share us, and subscribe. And until we see you for episode 29, we're hoping that your week will be a sweet twist of the frivolous and frugal. Have a great week. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.